I gotta wait. Protocol, I gotta wait for you to come. Call the meeting, this is a special call meeting on Wednesday, July 30th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers. I'd like to thank all of y'all for coming and all of those that are joining online. We'll go into our second item, public hearing on submission of a grant application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department for the Weimer Sports Complex project. We'll open this meeting, open the hearing at 5:31 p.m.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. What we're gonna talk about here on the, public hearing on the submission of the grant application to the Parks and Wildlife Department. I've been here such a short time, just completed 90 days, but I have been in contact with our Economic Development, Vice President, Amy Brandt. She's here this evening, and if y'all would permit her, I would like for her to make a presentation as to the standing of where we're at this project at this moment. I will add that, we are finishing up the grant application to the Parks and Wildlife Department. Dolores and I have been tag teaming this thing all day. Various information outlets that we had to go to, including the Texas Historic Commission. So it's quite a arduous project to make application for these grants. But we are in the process. We will make the deadline. And later, I believe we will, item number 3, will be voting, discussion and voting on a resolution for that fact. So, Ms. Brandt, would you come forward to the podium, state your name and what you have learned about this, where it was with EDC and where we're at now. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. My name is Amy Brandt. I am the Vice President of the Weimer Economic Development Corporation Board. Thank you for the opportunity to serve on this board. I'm going on my 18th year, which makes me feel kind of old. We've been discussing this for many years, but it's come back to light. So just wanted to provide a brief synopsis of the EDC's involvement in the sports complex project. So that there's an understanding of how long this has been discussed and in the works. I know there are a lot of people that aren't aware of it or think this has come up suddenly, but it hasn't. So dating back to February of 2020, the EDC was notified that there was discussion in the works regarding a new sports complex. No additional details were provided to us at the time, other than, hey, just, back burner, there's some discussions going on. I believe the city needed some land for soccer fields, and it was being looked into developing it into a broader sports complex for our community. And at the time, that was, and still is, a much needed opportunity for our children and families in the community. So then going into March of 2021, the EDC was briefed on the sports complex project. That was our first time being introduced to it. It included a review of the planning proposal that was given in December of 2019 from Bethco Engineering to the city at the time, which included a concept design of those 20 acres. At the time, the complex was estimated to cost $1.5 million. And if EDC were to fund the project, EDC could pay about $100,000 a year for 15 to 20 years, depending on the final cost. There was not a formal commitment of funding at that time because we didn't have the final cost. We were just looking at estimates, but we were looking at whatever the certificates of obligation would be on that project covering it. So fast forward to to May. We were again briefed on the project. The next step was to go out to request for qualifications for an architect, and our board unanimously approved starting the process for the RFQs. Then in July, we approved funding in the amount of $7,500 for Bethco Engineering to complete the conceptual plan for the sports complex. We received another update in October, so we were receiving quarterly updates on this project as we met quarterly at the time. Fast forward to January 22, the EDC board was informed that Bethco had completed a cost cost analysis based on the preliminary design that we had. And if you remember back in January of 2022, in that time frame, that was shortly after COVID, when all of the crazy prices spiked with building materials and those type of things. So we found out that they were estimating the cost to come in more at like $4 million, which was a lot more than the original plan because the price of materials had gone up so drastically in those few years. So it was apparent that the project would probably need to be broken down into 2 phases. The original plan had 3 soccer fields, 3 softball fields that could be used for Little League and softball, and a pavilion with concession stands and restrooms. There was a playground that was also installed on there during another period of time, so that was there, but some green spaces, adequate parking for the community, and also walking trails. So I believe you have the conceptual design all the way around everything was an additional walking trail. So, you know, and we're talking about lighted fields, we're talking about a first-class facility for our community. So at that point, we went back to the drawing board, or the city and there were several people that worked on a committee for the sports complex, went back to the drawing board to decide what was most important to have in phase 1 and what was more important to have in phase 2. And then, you know, if we needed a phase 3, if additional things were brought up, let's go for it. So, then in April, the committee had met. This isn't my first time up here, so I'm kind of considering. In our April 2022 meeting, the price was adjusted to $3.8 million. So we were still looking at, you know, ballpark prices. We didn't have anything set in stone. They were still working on, hey, how can we, you know, make this most cost effective? And we didn't have final numbers. In September, at the end of September of 2022, the engineer and the city manager at the time were still working on breaking up the project. They were going to bring it back to us, and then following that, we've had, you know, between then and now, we've had a few changes in city leadership. We've had some more pressing needs come up in the community, priorities for the city. So it kind of got pushed, not to the back burner, but to the back burner. We had not received any updates to this project until our last meeting, which was this month, where we were informed that it had been dusted off the shelves and was getting worked on. And we had become aware of the Texas Park and Wildlife grant possibility. We were also made aware that there is a family that wishes to be anonymous at the time that may be willing to give significant funding towards the project as well. And then, of course, we have the Economic Development Corporation Board, who has been discussing this for 5 years now. And although we don't have a final number approved, it has been something we've discussed, and it is one of the things that we are qualified to spend funds on for the 4B sales tax. And there was also discussion of now, because this has been a few years, adding pickleball courts. You know, that's something that's new. So, you know, there's been discussion along the way, but really trying to spearhead this, take advantage of the opportunities that may be there for us and get this done for the city. So with that, the Weimar Economic Development Corporation Board fully supports the pursuit of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Grant, and respectfully requests that the City Council approve the City of Weimar submitting the application to Texas Parks and Wildlife for a new sports complex for the City of Weimar. And I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all may have.
The latest estimated cost?
We have not received that latest estimate. So that is I believe that's in the works right now.
Still looking at phasing?
Yes,
Yes.
possibly 3 phases. It's at 2 right now, but the way they did that last time, but we're looking at possibly 3 phases, depending on
presented to us back in, January, we're talking about 3.5 years ago. So there may be, price increases in some things, there may be price savings or new technology, things that could make the project be more economical. So that's a process that we have to involve the engineers with assisting us with.
Thank you.
I don't know, Amy or Dawn, I don't know who answered this, but on the grant, when are we supposed to hear back from this if we apply now?
We have to apply by the 1st, and then Dolores, is it a 6-month program?
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. We won't know anything.
How much is the grant for, do we even know, or is it, they just kind of a number that they decide?
1.5 mil.
Got you.
And our part is like 50% is what
Got you.
So we're,
So 50% of the 1.5.
yes.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Can I get this phone on there? Just want to make sure I had it right. 1, ERA.
Does anybody else care to speak on this today? You wanna step up to the podium?
I didn't sign my name on.
It's okay, you
Is
can
that
come
okay?
up and say your name, introduce yourself, and I'll put you on there.
Thank you for Chair, Mayor, and council members, thank you for having me here. My name is Jorge Vichisala, I'm a family physician here in Weimar, the last 35 years. Several years ago, pick a number, maybe 9 years ago, we were still looking for a place to play soccer where we would not be thrown out of the field that we were at. And, by the way, soccer has been in Weimar for the last 35 years since I've been here. Some of your children or grandchildren have played soccer, here in Weimar. Dr. Yoder, Ken Yoder was here. He was born and raised here. He, went off to school and came back, to retire here, and, his children have played soccer in Tucson, Arizona. And, he called me and said, Jorge, maybe can I help in how to get a soccer field for you guys? Because at that time, we had, the children playing soccer, boys and girls. We had, the teenagers playing soccer. We had adult, female and male, soccer teams already. And we had started leagues in the whole areas, in the Tri-County area then. This is in the 1990s, early 2000s, that had been going on. So I said, yes, great, thank you for helping me out. So, Ken was able to look for land, and he was able, to, get this land, which is about 19 acres, and it's part where the, old, Carl Downs soccer, football field used to be. If you're familiar with Weimar, it's in the northeast part of town. And also the, area adjacent to it, which belonged to the Piners at that time. Well, Dr. Yoder, in a very generous manner, he, bought that and, offered that to the Weimar Soccer League at that time. We were happy, we were able to, set ourselves up, and this is a nonprofit Weimar Soccer Club that started in the early 1990s. And, so we were able to get that, and through the community, helping us out to fund the Weimar Soccer League, we were able to maintain that part where we used to play soccer. Then, Dr. Yoder and I, we thought, well, this is a big chunk of land, 19 acres that we have here. We don't have the financial wherewithal to be able to upkeep it. And we thought it would be a better idea to, and I don't know exactly what kind of transaction occurred, and Dr. Yoder is here, he was able to join us today, even though he doesn't live here, he lives an hour from here. but, it was donated to the city, and I don't know the details of how that went on. But with the idea to make sure that there were enough places, land and facilities, so we can have a first-rate, soccer, facility for all the kids, all the way from pre-K to the adults, and everything in between, knowing that we were using this already as a regional center where soccer teams were coming from Brenham, Victoria, Austin, Flatonia, other places around here already. So that was the mindset, and since I cannot remember what year, Dr. Yoder, was it that you?
Thinking it was probably 2016 or 17, something
Okay,
like
so it's about 10 years ago, 9 years ago, that, so we have been keeping up, we meaning the Weimar Soccer Club, have been keeping up everything. The field house, renovated the field house, we were, the whole thing, the fields, everything that takes, that we were supposed to do to upkeep. Now, the vision is this, you go to other towns, and, not too far away from here, and they have their nice sports complex. I don't see why is it that we cannot have the same thing, if not better, and have the top grade that, a professional soccer team from Houston or Austin, that they want to have, an exclusive area where they don't want the media or anybody else to know that they're practicing somewhere, they can use our facilities. That kind of quality it is, which is really for soccer, it's not all that expensive to get. It's not all that sophisticated to get a soccer field or the facilities for something like that. Also think about the future. The future is, and today, they had one of the largest crowds in Texas A&M when there were two national teams playing there. Who would have thought? College Station, soccer, it was completely full. In the summer, I think it was last summer that happened, but the World Cup is coming to the United States in June, mid-June, and it's gonna last for at least 2 months here. And Texas has received many venues here in Houston and Dallas. So what I'm saying to you is that I wanna give you a perspective of what is it that you're dealing with. Is we have been very fortunate through the generosity of Dr. Yoder to have 19 acres that basically is in your hands. And of course, the citizens of Weimar. And what is it that you're gonna do with it? So, hopefully you'll consider that. I don't know all the technical details. I just remember when 5 years ago, we were, meeting with, engineers from LaGrange to see how much it's gonna cost, where the things were gonna go, those kind of things, but I really have not heard from, anybody regarding this project in the last maybe 3-4 years, something like that. But if it is still the same, it sounds like a great project to pursue. I know that, just from the medical point of view and from other point of view, that, the government, the state government and the federal government is looking at the rural areas with a good eye. So take advantage of that, take advantage of that opportunity that is lying out there. But anyway, I hope it didn't take too much time, but I just wanted to give you a perspective of what is it that's been going on with this land and how fortunate we are to have it. And I want to thank Dr. Yoder again for his generosity.
Thank you, Dr. DeCicella.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak on this item number 2? Even if you haven't signed up, I can sign you, put your name on this. No one? All right, we'll close the public hearing at 5:49. We'll go to item number 3, discussion and approval of a resolution authorizing the application for Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and appointing Donald D. Dixon as representative to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Council and general public, thank you. We have to have this resolution passed and signed off by the city council in order to submit the application or the grant application to the Texas Wildlife Department. So we're asking you to please consider this and favorably so we can get this action moved forward. And we have until Friday at 5 p.m. to get this grant application back to the state. That's all I have.
Thank you. This is an approval, a motion to be made for this.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing application Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and appointing Donald D. Dixon as a representative to Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Tucker and a second by Councilman Spardino. It's open for more discussion. No discussion? Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, at this time, we will go into executive session under Texas Government Code Sections 551.074, personnel matters, police chief applicants. Not sure how long this will take. We do have item 5, which is a discussion and action. You're welcome to hang around, and we'll step in there and we'll be back. 5:51.